First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hi, hello, good day, happy Friday, everybody. Another pretty nice start to the day, although it was very, very humid out there this morning. And yet again this afternoon and continuing through this evening, we are continuing to watch for this scattered to even numerous thunderstorm development throughout the rest of your Friday. Welcome in. I'm meteorologist Ross Mummah here. Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner worked this morning. He is off here for the rest of tonight, so you are stuck with me for your Friday evening. And we've really been watching a couple different things kind of happen here throughout the afternoon. We've had this pretty significant cumulus field of a lot of just kind of cumulus clouds building up in these lines situated or oriented from south to north. We'll often call them cloud streets. That developed through the early part of the afternoon. Some higher clouds kind of moving in overhead. And now if you look real closely, you can see the thunderstorm tops from some of these storms developing over Union and Bradford County is a great example. Really over central Clay County as well. You can see those tops really blow up. So thunderstorms going to continue to be a cause for concern and something we're watching here throughout the rest of this evening. We had one pretty decent one move through eastern Duval County earlier. That is now kind of pushed well off to the northeast, up towards Brantley and Glenn County, seeing some storms there in southeast Georgia. But we are expecting more to build in from the south and southwest here over the next several hours. So the storms that are in Bradford County and Clay County right now, those are eventually going to move into portions of Baker County, Duval, and Nassau, likely within about the next hour to an hour and a half here. So we're going to zoom it in a little bit closer. You can see a lot of these storms do have a good bit of lightning in them. That has been a consistent trend that we have seen over the last couple of days. But most of this has been really just from kind of that very light southerly flow that we've had for the majority of the day. Now, the winds are kind of a little bit all over the place, primarily due to the outflows from a lot of those thunderstorms. So those downdraft winds, as they come down from aloft, they hit the surface and kind of spread out in all directions. So the actual wind field at the surface can sometimes be a little confusing, but you can almost see where that sea breeze is starting to work in, especially in northern St. Johns and Duval County. It's just about to the river, if not just passing over it. I guess similar story up in Nassau County as well. So the sea breeze not nearly as easily depicted today, but it is still influencing these storms. It's adding a little bit of some extra lift and energy and to these updrafts that are developing. So here's a time lapse kind of throughout the afternoon. I mentioned those cumulus clouds. You saw some higher clouds kind of roll in overhead, and then we have had just some dark thunderstorm clouds on either side really of downtown. We haven't actually gotten any real heavy rainfall downtown just yet, but many of these are heavily moisture laden. The precipitable water values in them are anywhere from about 1.9 inches to about 2.1. What does that mean? You could get instantaneous rainfall rates of at least 2 inches per hour. So if it consistently rained at that rate within an hour, you'd have 2 inches. So essentially, many of these are going to produce a very, very heavy rainfall. With how they're generally moving from south to north, you could have multiple storms train over the same locations. So if you happen to get hit by 1, 2, if not even 3 storms, and each of them produces, a half inch to a full inch of rain, by the time you're done this evening, you could certainly have some pretty saturated and soggy ground. So this excessive rainfall risk, many of us are in that level 1 out of 4 marginal for that. So we will continue to watch for at least a marginal threat of some flash flooding here tonight and also into your Saturday tomorrow. And we'll touch on that a little bit here later on. That storm, though, in southeastern Duval County, kind of moving over the Gate Parkway area just to the east of Ponte Vedra Beach, that has thankfully started to come down a little bit. It had a pretty decent storm core to it, a nice strong updraft, especially as it was down towards 9B and down into St. Johns County. So that started to weaken a little bit. But as I had mentioned before, we're really kind of watching this cluster of thunderstorms down towards Keystone Heights, right there near Middleburg and central Clay County, and then over into Union and Bradford County as well. Not a whole lot to worry about, at least for the time being, just based off of what the reflectivity looks like right now. But this is going to move into, really the western part of Duval County right around rush hour. If folks aren't already out on the road right now. So by 5 o'clock, we certainly expect some thunderstorms out there on the west side of the Beltway, that 295 Beltway, and I-10. Similar story in McClenny. Baker County has been one of those locations that has gotten several rounds of rainfall here over the last 2 to 3 days, accumulating in several inches, especially on the north sides of Sanderson. So we will watch to see if these storms continue to build that way as well. I certainly think there's a very, very good possibility of that. And then if you just have plans downtown, dinner plans, I think there's a decent shot that maybe the little part that's over Green Cove Springs right now that could ride right along that river and kind of help. The river itself could help to almost inflame the thunderstorm a little bit more. Give it a little extra moisture, a little bit extra juice right before it kind of just scrapes by the downtown area. So that's something else we're going to be watching for. But if you live over at the beaches, things are going to be looking a little bit better here through the rest of this evening. Still some light rain possible, but the overall storm risk looks to be a little bit lower if you're down in Jax Beach or Atlantic Beach, somewhere like that. Further off to the north now, Brantley County, northern Glenn County, seeing some thunderstorms. So overall, nothing too terrible. Most of these storm cores themselves aren't super strong. Yesterday, really last evening, between about, I would say 6 and 8 o'clock, we had some strong, tall thunderstorms in Baker County and Union and Bradford County. We have not yet seen that here this evening, but if we do, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts could be seen in some of these stronger downdrafts and evidently seen in a lot of the reflectivity here so far. A lot of lightning out there on radar, so just be mindful of that. But here's kind of what the models are trying to depict. By 6 o'clock, there is that kind of second wave coming in from the south and southwest over the western sides of the metro, over into Baker County. So we will watch for that here through dinner time. After about 9 to 10 p.m., though, models are trying to show that most of the thunderstorm activity is going to start to wane a little bit. I do expect there to still be some rainfall around out there, similarly to last night, but the overall thunderstorm risk is going to decrease almost exponentially after sunset this evening as you get closer to 10, 11 p.m., and then midnight eventually later on this evening. So there's just kind of a quick look at your Friday night. Now let's talk a little bit about the weekend here, big holiday weekend with Father's Day on Sunday. But we'll start you off with just Saturday. Tomorrow going to be another very muggy start. Morning lows are only going to hit the mid-70s. So as you can see there, by 8 a.m. already at about 80 degrees. Dew points could be in the mid-70s tomorrow morning. So by 10 a.m., although the temperature itself is 85, could easily have a real feel of anywhere between about 93 and 95 degrees by mid-morning tomorrow. And then highs back up into the low to, if not mid-90s from I-95 inland. Coastal locations, you're likely going to be a little bit closer to the upper 80s for many of you. But then once again, we're going to watch for some thunderstorm activity later on in the day. So maybe if you're heading out to the beaches tomorrow morning, get yourself a little bit of a tan on, soak up some sun before the thunderstorms arrive. You should be okay through the first half of the day. It looks like that sea breeze won't start to push inland until about 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And then after 1, and really between about the hours of 2 and 8 p.m., we're going to start to watch for that sea breeze to help kick off some more thunderstorm development. And you're going to notice that in our precipitation chances, really, after 1 o'clock, they ramp up significantly. So 70% coverage of storms between 2 and 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, the worst of which I think really for the Jacksonville metro area could be between about 4 and 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So right around dinner time, just make sure you stay weather aware because we have issued our weather impact alert for all of Saturday afternoon and into the evening hours there as well between 2 and 8 o'clock. Not just for the scattered thunderstorms themselves, but also what those storms could produce. I mentioned the wind gusts, 40 to 50 miles per hour, frequent lightning, and the flash flooding concern will be, become heightened more and more as, locations continue to get very, very heavy rainfall from the storms tonight and the storms that we saw last night and the night before that. So it all kind of, builds brick by brick on top of one another, and those rain totals do eventually stack up. So it's not going to be a flooding risk or concern for everyone, but it will be for those of you who have already gotten quite a good bit of rain here already this week. So where could you see some of the storms? Well, nearly all of us are going to have a pretty good chance of seeing at least, a thunderstorm either skirt by just to the right of us or come right over top tomorrow. But we really honed it in. I think the strongest storms tomorrow will first initialize kind of out by the Highway 301 area, so the western sides of Nassau and Duval County. And then thanks to a very light south-southwest wind at the surface, that's going to slowly kind of push some storms back towards the east or northeast. And then if you think about the winds anywhere from about 1,000 to 10,000 feet aloft, they're about 10 to 15 knots out of the southwest. And we like to often just refer to those as almost your steering currents or steering flow. So because the winds are out of the southwest aloft in the atmosphere, a lot of those thunderstorm tops that, blow up, they will gradually get pulled back to the east and northeast, back towards that I-95 corridor. And the models do a pretty decent job of trying to show that. So right there, 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon and evening, the sea breeze works in, those storms collide just to the west of Jacksonville in the I-95 corridor, and you'll notice here they kind of get brought back to the east right around dinner time tomorrow night. So as I had said, just stay weather aware throughout tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then Sunday, another chance, perhaps not nearly as widespread in storm coverage. I think there's going to be a little bit of some drier air in place, and the wind field's going to be just a little bit different there, but nonetheless, we're still expecting about 60% of us to get some rain and thunderstorm chances for Father's Day on Sunday. So here's another way to look at it. If you want to just kind of get a quick snapshot of your whole weekend here across the First Coast, it's going to be very humid tomorrow morning, heats up very quickly into the 80s, really by about 8 to 8:30 tomorrow morning. And then we're going to be watching for those scattered, if not numerous, thunderstorms between about 2 and 8 p.m. The lightning threat and the heavy rainfall are going to be the two biggest concerns tomorrow. We'll watch for some isolated wind gusts of about 40 to 50 miles per hour and a few of those isolated, stronger thunderstorms that do develop. As you look then towards Sunday, happy Father's Day to all of you. Try to get your dad some AC out there. Let him just kick back, relax, take it easy for the day. Don't make him mow the lawn because he's going to be working up a pretty big sweat if you make him do that. Sunday, temperature-wise, going to be very similar. Low 90s for you. And then as you get into the afternoon, real field temperatures back up to anywhere between 100 to 105 degrees. So it is going to be downright steamy on Sunday afternoon. And yet again, we will watch for some of those scattered thunderstorms to increase throughout the day. So maybe if you're having a get together with family and friends to celebrate dad or your grandpa, whomever it may be, just be mindful. There probably will be some storms out and about in the area if you're outside grilling out there with dad come Sunday afternoon and or evening. So lunchtime and dinner could see some storms out there. And really our daily chances for thunderstorms, they're going to continue through most of this next week. Our lowest chance days, if that's the right way to put it, is really going to be Wednesday and Thursday. There will be some drier air aloft in the atmosphere that's kind of getting pushed up from the south, which typically our dry air comes in from the north, but a little bit of a different setup here. But that drier air may limit the overall coverage of thunderstorms. I still think we're going to see storms every single day over the next 7, but I don't expect nearly as many of us to see those storms on Wednesday and Thursday. So slight variety and diversity in the forecast there for you. But really within the next 7 days, many of us are going to pick up a good bit of rainfall. I think this is a good estimate with regards to the overall area. So it shows there, over the next week, depending on where some of those thunderstorms develop, many of us could pick up anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches of rain. But certainly where those stronger storms do roll through, you could pick up 1 to 2 inches in a single day, let alone in a whole week. You could pick up, 2, 3, 4, even 5 inches of rain if you happen to get the storm every day. More than likely, that's not going to be the case. You may get, half of the storms over the next week. So you're not going to get rain every day, but there will be storms somewhere on the First Coast each and every afternoon and evening here over the next week. So besides the rainfall, I kind of talked about the real field temperatures is going to be very hot, not only on Sunday, but through all of next week. I mean, we've got some pretty tropical-like air in place here. Dew points this morning, we're at 75 at about maybe 9 a.m. or so. So we had a temperature of about 85, a dew point of 75, and a real feel of 93 at about 9 a.m. this morning. That's almost pretty oppressive for the first half of June here, really. So hopefully that's not a precursor of what's to come for the remainder of the summer. But just be aware, if you're an outside worker, whether you're a landscaper, construction, a roofer, whatever it may be, if you're spending an extended time outdoors, please, please, please try and stay hydrated. Or even if you're not working outside and maybe your kids either just have, sporting events, if they got a baseball tournament either this weekend or next week, the heat and humidity take it out of you very quickly. It saps your energy within about 15 to 30 minutes at time. So try to find some shade, spend some extra time inside and in the air conditioning, and just please, please, please try and stay hydrated as much as you possibly can out there over the next couple of days. Now, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about the tropics. We now have a tropical storm Delilah down in the eastern Pacific. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. Perhaps Lou and I, I'm not sure, talked about it here on the stream, but we certainly did on air. It was potential tropical cyclone 4E. Say that 5 times fast. That has since upgraded. It was expected to increase in intensity and strength here today. So now tropical storm Dalium winds only at 40 miles per hour there right now, but it is slowly going to make its way off to the northwest and eventually move out into the Central Pacific and kind of wither away to nothing. So won't be a big concern for those, in Mexico or western parts of Mexico there. Some high surf and some storms right along the coastline. But generally speaking, not too much of a concern for anyone in Mexico, and certainly will not be for any of us in the United States and here in the First Coast as well. But really, the Eastern Pacific has been the area of development here so far. We watched that intertropical convergence zone, which is just to the north of the equator there, where a lot of these thunderstorms do develop. And it's really been on the Eastern Pacific side of Central America. It could just as easily be on the eastern side of Central America in the Caribbean Sea, and then we could be dealing with potential tropical systems. But with how the trade winds are flowing and where most of the thunderstorm development is off in the Eastern Pacific, that's why a lot of those storms are forming there. We often talk about, the rising sea surface temperatures and the ocean heat content in the Gulf of or just in the Gulf itself and in the Caribbean Sea. That is the case. But the equatorial water, so that water's right near the equator, they actually are a little bit cooler than average right now, just due to some upwelling and how the currents are going. So I think that's inhibiting a little bit of the development in the Western Atlantic right now. I don't expect that to hold up all hurricane season long, but for the time being, it is. So I think we can all be thankful for that. So the Eastern Pacific can continue to keep the storms all over there. If you ask me, no tropical formation expected in the Atlantic for at least the next 7 days. So no tropical concerns for your Father's Day weekend or over the next week here on the First Coast. So really, we're just kind of stuck in this very hot and humid pattern. Daily chances for those afternoon thunderstorms. Again, we're going to continue to watch a lot of the storms here this evening, most of which from this point through about sunset will be between Highway 301 and I-95. So the western sides of Duval County, Clay County, western Nassau, and then moving up into Charlton, Camden, Glenn, Brantley counties. That's really where we're going to be watching for some stronger thunderstorms here throughout the rest of tonight. And again, we do have that excessive rainfall risk in effect through the rest of today. Tomorrow, dry skies through the first half of your Saturday. After about 1:30 to 2 p.m., we're going to be watching for that thunderstorm development. Most of them will build off to the west and will drift back to the east through dinner time, so just stay weather aware out there as we have that weather impact alert in effect for your Saturday afternoon and evening. Father's Day then, slightly less coverage for thunderstorms, but there definitely will be at least a few out there. Temperature-wise, low to mid-90s nearly all weekend long for your afternoon highs. That will continue into next week. And you can see that. 94 Tuesday, 94 Wednesday, 95 by Thursday. Real field temperatures definitely going to be above 100 degrees there by the second half of next week. And as I had kind of broken down, Wednesday and Thursday look to be the driest of the days over the next 7. We will have storms everywhere on the First Coast each of the next 7 days. Just only some isolated storm chances there likely for next Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, we'll have to watch pretty closely. There is going to be a front to the north of us, a cold front, that does look like it could drop down toward the First Coast by Friday afternoon and evening. So not only will we have the sea breeze, but we are going to expect, that actual synoptic front to drop in from the north could enhance some thunderstorm development there by next Friday. And then behind that front, maybe a little bit of a cool down. My guy Andy just walked in over there. Perhaps he's excited for the cool down. I know he's been just sweating bullets over playing tennis. That backhand, that forehand. Which one's your best? Forehand. I expected it. He said it was the forehand. I expected it to be the backhand. Our tennis extraordinaire over there. But get the tennis plan in early in the day this coming weekend. We'll watch for those thunderstorms here this weekend and into next week, folks. Happy Friday and enjoy your weekend. Take care.